Unit 1, Beginnings of the Modern World, 1300 to 1800. Seeking new land and new markets, European explorers sailed around the world. This painting by Theodore Gaudin depicts a French explorer La Salle's Louisiana expedition of 1684. Comparing and contrasting. Methods of government. In Unit 1, you will learn about different methods of ruling a nation or empire. At the end of the unit, you will have a chance to compare and contrast the governments you have studied. Let's get started. Chapter 1, European Renaissance and Reformation. Previewing main ideas, cultural interaction. Trade with the East and the rediscovery of ancient manuscripts caused Europeans to develop new ideas about culture and art. This period was called the Renaissance, which means rebirth. Religious and ethical systems. Martin Luther began a movement to reform practices in the Catholic Church that he believed were wrong. That movement, the Reformation, led to the founding of non-Catholic churches. Revolution. The invention of the printing press allowed books and pamphlets to be made faster and more cheaply. This new technology helped spread the revolutionary ideas of the Renaissance and Reformation. Look at the map. Europe, 1500. Scotland, Ireland, England, France, Spain. Yeah, Spain is really huge compared to Portugal. Yeah. Holy Roman Empire, Hungary, Ottoman Empire, etc. So, this is interesting. What can you learn from art? You work at a museum that is considering buying this painting by Jan van Eyck. It is a portrait of Chancellor Rollin, a powerful government official in the Burgundy, later part of France. Before deciding, the museum director wants to know what this painting can teach the public about the Renaissance. Look at the picture. Forget about the explanation. Look at the picture. And also number. Before listening to the explanation of this picture, please think about your own explanation. What can you infer from this picture? Number 1, classical art. Renaissance artists admired the classical art. The columns show classical style. Number 2, perspective. Van Eyck used the technique of perspective, which shows distant objects as smaller than close ones. He also used oil paints, a new invention. This is, in Korean, 원근법, and also another meaning, 관점. Number 3, religion. This painting portrays the infant Jesus and his mother, Mary, in 15th century Europe. Such a depiction shows the continuing importance of religion during the Renaissance. Number 4, the individual. Renaissance artists portray the importance of individuals. Chancellor Rollin is wearing a fur-trimmed robe that shows his high status. Look at this. Yeah, this robe symbolizes his high status. 5, beauty. Van Eyck included many details simply to add beauty. These include the design on the floor, the folds of Mary's cloak, and the scenery outside. What can you infer about the setting of the painting? What details in the painting give you an idea of the role of religion in society? as a class, discuss these questions to see what you can learn about this art. Also, recall what you know about art in such places as Egypt and India. As you read about the Renaissance, notice what the art of that time reveals about European society. Italy, birthplace of the Renaissance. Main idea, revolution. The Italian Renaissance was a rebirth of learning that produced many great works of art and literature. Why it matters now? Renaissance art and literature still influence modern thought and modern art. Terms and names: Renaissance, humanism, secular, patron, perspective, vernacular. Okay, I will read. Setting the stage. During the late Middle Ages, Europe suffered from both war and plague. Those who survived wanted to celebrate life and the human spirit. They began to question institutions of the Middle Ages, which had been unable to prevent war or to relieve suffering brought by the plague. Some people questioned the church, which taught Christians to endure suffering while they awaited the rewards in heaven. In northern Italy, writers and artists began to express this new spirit and to experiment with different styles. These men and women would greatly change how Europeans saw themselves and their world. Italy's advantages. This movement that started in Italy caused an explosion of creativity in art, writing, and thought that lasted approximately from 1300 to 1600. Historians call this period the Renaissance. The term means rebirth, and in this context, it refers to a revival of art and learning. The educated men and women of Italy hoped to bring back to life the culture and classical Greece and Rome. Yet, in striving to revive the past, the people of the Renaissance created something new. The contributions made during this period led to innovative styles of art and literature. They also led to new values, such as the importance of the individual. The Renaissance eventually spread from northern Italy to the rest of Europe. Italy had three advantages that made it the birthplace of the Renaissance. Three advantages. Number one, thriving cities. Number two, a wealthy merchant class. Number three, the classical heritage of Greece and Rome. Yeah, this is really important. City-states. Overseas trade, spurred by crusades, had led to the growth of large city-states in northern Italy. The region also had many sizable towns. Thus, northern Italy was urban, while the rest of Europe was still mostly rural. Since cities are often places where people exchange ideas, they were an ideal breeding ground for an intellectual revolution. In the 1300s, the bubonic plague struck three cities hard, killing up to 60% of the population. This brought economic changes. Because there were fewer laborers, survivors could demand higher wages. With few opportunities to expand business, merchants began to pursue other interests, such as art. Merchant and the Medici. A wealthy merchant class developed in each Italian city-state. Because city-states like Milan and Florence were relatively small, a high percentage of citizens could be intensely involved in political life. Merchants dominated politics. Unlike nobles, merchants did not inherit social ranks. To succeed in business, they used their wits. As a result, many successful merchants believed they deserved power and wealth because of their individual merit. This belief in individual achievement became important during the Renaissance. Since the late 1200s, the city-state of Florence had a republican form of government. But during the Renaissance, Florence came under the rule of one powerful banking family, the Medici. The Medici family bank had a branch of offices throughout Italy and in the major cities of Europe. Cosimo de' Medici was the wealthiest European at his time. In 1434, he won control of Florence's government. He did not seek political office for himself, but influenced members of the ruling council by giving them loans. For 30 years, he was the director of the Florence. Look at this. Medici family. A rival family grew so jealous of the Medici that they plotted to kill Lorenzo and his brother Giuliano. As the Medici attended the mass, assassins murdered Giuliano at the altar. During his sword, Lorenzo escaped to a small room, and held off his attackers until help arrived. Later, he had the killers brutally publicly executed. More positively, Lorenzo was a generous patron of art who collected many rare manuscripts. Eventually, the Medici family made their library available to the public. So, this is what is all about history. Yeah. In South Korean textbooks, it deals with several pages, but not very detailedly. But in other world history textbooks, it deals with a very massive and very wide variety of contents. That's why it is very important for you to read as often as possible to expand and extend your horizon about world history to other fields. Yeah. This is the end of today's lecture. Thank you.